Hi, it's Mitch from Pickdawgz.com here with your free pick in the George Mason versus Dayton college basketball matchup on Wednesday, February 21st, 2024. If you like all the free picks we do at Pickdawgz, you'll love our premium picks, our best bets. Use the discount code PICK for 15% off. We also have products meant for people who make big bets, people with big bankrolls looking to go next level with one-on-one concierge style service. But you can't get these packages on the website. You have to text the number that you see on the screen. So if you make big bets, text that number. But let's get to this one. George Mason taking on Dayton. George Mason 17-8 on the season, while Dayton enters this one 21-4, ranked 16th in the nation. The Flyers have been pretty strong this season, and of course, playing in the A10, even though they have the 4 losses, it's like their losses are penalized a lot more than teams in the bigger conferences, and I think that's what we see, from this team. I do believe what we've seen from Dayton for the bulk of the season is that they look a lot like a version of Houston. Maybe not as good as Houston, but certainly a team that can give teams a lot of problems, because in college basketball, a lot of it has to do with strategy and coaching. The talent, to play at this level, regardless if you're in the A10, the ACC, whatever, you can play basketball. And that's why we see in March Madness in the tournament, and that's why it's called March Madness, right? Because teams, there's a lot of upsets because, boy, there's a lot of guys that can play basketball out there. And if you can play at the Division I level, you can flat out play. That's just the way that it works. They don't just give away those scholarships and that NIL money. But the thing is, George Mason comes in 17-8. They are 4-6 in their last 10, 12-2 at home this season. The A10 is not as deep as it once was. Back in the day, it was one of the really good conferences. Right now, they're probably a 1, maybe 2 bid conference. Is the way that they're looking. These teams have not met yet this season, but Dayton comes into this one winners of their last 2 games, beating Duquesne and Fordham, not covering against Fordham, winning by 8 in a game they were laying 13. They had lost to VCU a few games back. That was their last time they were on the road. Prior to that, they had beaten St. Joe's on the road. They were only a 2-point favorite there at St. Joe's, so it was a light line like this game, and they blew them out of the building by 15 points. It was actually, the game didn't even feel like it was that close when we were watching it. Their other loss recently was at Richmond as well, 64-69. That was another road game. So, what we've seen from Dayton, though, is in general, these guys have been taking care of business. And like I said, they play that shutdown style, so it makes it very, very difficult. We look at George Mason, back-to-back wins at Davidson, and then against George Washington, big favorite in that one, mild dog in the game against Davidson. They had lost against Loyola Chicago, UMass, St. Joe, so they've struggled against the better teams. We look at the George Mason defense, really solid at guarding the floor, but when you stretch it out to the perimeter, where Dayton is at their very best, 8th best in the nation, that's where they come up just a little bit short. They are pretty solid on the boards, but the thing is, they're 20th ranked in shooting percentage against on the floor. Dayton 35th best offense. So when you look at the Dayton offense versus the George Mason defense, George Mason stacks up in most areas except from beyond the arc, and that could present a lot of problems. On the other side, the Dayton defense has edges, but George Mason ranks pretty high in most of the offensive categories as well, including shooting almost 75% from the free throw line, something that you have to do. They hit the offensive boards extremely well as well. I think what we see here is that, looking at just the numbers, I think George Mason certainly has a puncher's chance in this game. I've been riding Dayton all season. I think they probably squeak out the win in this one, but I think they're going to grab the points with George Mason, and that's going to be my free pick. Of course, while you're doing your picks, putting your bets in, use our free betting tools at sportschatplace.com, 100% free, and they'll help put you on the most favorable bets on the board today.